Okay, let's talk about the Nazca Mummy DNA paper. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road to talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, I told you I would get back to you about the DNA analysis or analyses of the Nazca mummies once I had talked to my wife and it could have a more informed opinion about this, or at least her opinion about this, rather. She's a molecular biologist, she's a scientist. She recombines DNA, PhD, so she knows a thing or two about genes. So she took a look at the paper, and she did a pretty thorough read of the paper. And the paper is divided into two parts. The first part is the Mexican scientists' analysis, and the second part is the Canadian analysis, the Canadian team. Unfortunately, she was not moved by the Mexican portion of the paper. She did not think they were following the proper protocols. She tried to explain it to me, blast searches, not using the right bioinformatic approach. Anyway, I didn't quite understand her explanation for why she didn't think they were following the proper protocols, but she didn't. However, she read the Canadian portion of the paper, and she said, yeah, they were the real deal. They were following the right protocols. They're doing proper bioinformatics and, gene sequencing. And they got it right, and we can rely upon their analysis. So let's just go over the second portion of the paper where the Canadian team is giving their analysis. They analyzed, I think, 3 or 4 different specimens. Number 3 is Maria. And on the 2 of them that they really were able to analyze, 2 and 4, maybe they couldn't do number 1, okay, I'll read what they said, and then I'll give you the interpretation from my wife. Their paragraph is, then to evaluate and control quality, we ran fast QC to assess the quality of our samples. Our deduplication was moderate, so even after processing ancient 2 and 4, still had relatively high duplication levels, which suggest degradation or contamination leading to artifacts in the amplification process. On the other hand, ancient 3, that's Maria, had a lower duplication level of 15%. Besides a small rise in GC content for ancient 3, still consistent with human DNA, all other quality metrics stayed within normal ranges, indicating we were working with ancient DNA and could proceed. Now, I wouldn't have known what to make of that paragraph, but my wife did. She says that means that in the other 2 samples, the DNA was too badly degraded to really make sense of or do anything with. So they were, however, able to proceed with Maria. So they did get some results from the other 2 samples, but we can't rely upon those results because the DNA was just too degraded. So we really have to look at what they were able to find with Maria, and that's really all we have to go on. And this whole long 25-page paper is really the Canadian team's analysis of Maria. So what did they find? Oh, and just in case you're new to the topic, this is Maria. She's one of the human-sized mummies they found. A very intriguing specimen. Like all of them, she's tridactyl. She has no navel, no nipples. She has scaly skin. So she's not particularly mammalian. And yet they're finding that she aligns heavily with humans in terms of her DNA. Now, for comparison, Victoria is one of the other specimens whose DNA was too badly degraded to do a proper study of. So, results. Overall, our analysis showed samples consistent with degraded ancient DNA. The population of each sample was consistent with the metagenomic profile one would expect from a sample of tissue extracted from an ancient mummy. The classified DNA reads were largely identified as bacterial, with some presence of human-aligned DNA. In particular, Ancient 3, Maria, showed a very strong alignment with the human genome, leading us to investigate ancestral roots of its mitochondrial DNA. Because check this out. Maria had over 95% alignment to the human genome. So, yeah, that's crazy, guys, because again, she's not a mammal. 3 fingers, 3 toes, no navel, no nipples, scaly skin, possibly hermaphroditic or androgynous. Not particularly mammalian, but it gets weirder because the DNA that they found from Maria, the human DNA, was from Asia. At first, they settled in on an area in northern Thailand, Myanmar. Later on, they got some new and updated analysis narrowing in on Myanmar or China, southeastern China, specifically the Han Chinese. My wife is Han Chinese. The Han Chinese are ethnic group of China. That's the most Chinese are Han Chinese. Maria may be distantly related to my wife, so that's kind of fun. She really got a kick out of that. She's the one that brought that to my attention. So in the analyzing Victoria and the other specimen, the unnamed specimen, it looks like they were finding like 10 to 15% aligned with humans. But again, those samples were so badly degraded, we can't really, base anything off of that. We need fresher samples, or at least samples that have not been so badly degraded, so that we can study them. But my wife did give a glimmer of hope, though. She says if we can examine several of the same type of mummies, if we can sequence their DNA, if a good lab like this Canadian lab can sequence their DNA of several different specimens and zero in on the unknown portion of the DNA, if we can find commonalities in that unknown portion, because some of that's going to be bacteria and stuff, right? A lot of that's going to be bacteria and stuff. But if we can zero in on common unknown DNA sequences in those specimens, we can identify the actual alien or non-human, whatever it is, the genuinely anomalous portion of the DNA. But to do that, we're going to need several different samples from the same sorts of specimens. And we're going to, have to have them sequenced by really good labs that know their stuff, like this Canadian lab. So that's the glimmer of hope there, is that there is a path forward for examining the anomalous portions of the DNA. But getting back to what we do know, Maria, over 95% aligned with human, even though she's not human and she doesn't even particularly seem to be mammalian. Really weird. Obviously, if she was human or in any way human, she was greatly altered. But they're not finding like recognizable reptile DNA in her, right? That's the weird thing. It's like they took some human DNA, added some stuff, but the stuff they added really changed a lot. Or else they modified what was there. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's about all we really know. Now, the paper in this addendum, which was just released in August, just a few days ago. The paper was written before, but this addendum was written just a few days ago. And this is the only part in the paper where they mention hybridization. It says, well, I'll just read the paragraph. Recently, using the same methodology described for the identification of the mitochondrial haplogroup, the Y chromosome haplogroup was identified in the mummy named Maria. The haplogroup coincides with that of the Han population of China. Y chromosome haplogroup that. This reinforces the origin of the human involved in this hybridization process, which comes from southeastern China and or northern Myanmar. Yeah, that's a person from Myanmar, and of course that's a Han Chinese. So, and that's Maria. So there you go. This is the only point in the paper, in the Canadian portion of the paper, that discusses hybridization. Now, I asked my wife about that, and she says, well, maybe they meant hybridization of different humans. She acknowledges that the mummies are not human, but it doesn't seem like they're really addressing that in the paper. You wouldn't expect them to. You wouldn't expect them to. It would be weird if they did. They might talk about unknown DNA, but they're not going to talk about the implications of that. But they do mention hybridization here in the addendum, and since they only mention one group, one ethnic group, I don't think they're talking about hybridization of different humans. Different ethnic groups hybridizing. But yeah, that's the only point in the paper that talks about hybridization, or really what it's all about, right? I mean, there's clearly some genetic manipulation of those individuals, the Nazca beings. They were clearly designed, whether that's an experiment or whether that's some sort of known plan that the creator beings were doing. Maybe they didn't need to experiment because they knew what they were doing and they had a mission, they had an agenda, and they were creating these various species and subspecies to accomplish that. Or who knows, maybe they were just tinkering around. Like somebody that likes to build stuff, going in his garage and just tinkering with stuff, right? We just don't know. But there you go. That is my newly informed opinion of this paper studying the Nazca mummy DNA. Let me know what you guys think about it. It sounds like we need more labs to step up. We need more analyses done on the mummies. We need to see if we can identify the unknown portions of the DNA and see if there's commonalities between those unknown portions to really zero in on the alien DNA. As always, need more data. But so it is, guys. So it is. Let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button and the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.